Can you imagine being His Majesty the King? I mean, literally every single day you wake up and think there's another problem. And, there are a lot of problems in His Majesty's world. Not just, of course, of being monarch and how he's perceived in the greater picture across the world, across the Commonwealth, and over here in the United Kingdom. But now his biggest problem, many people might say, are in fact his own family, who are creating tensions, fallouts, all sorts of things behind the scenes. And as all the tourists now troop up around this particular time of year to look at the splendour of Windsor Castle in all of its autumnal colours, and as all the tourists are gathering up towards Windsor Castle and looking at the splendour of this beautiful castle in all its autumnal splendour, well, here's the problem. As we head towards Guy Fawkes Night, the real fireworks are already taking off behind castle walls. Oh yes, as ever, let me explain. Morning, nice to see you, chums. Thank you so much for your time today. And as ever, welcome one and all brand new subscribers. Thank you for all your positive comments on By Royal Appointment. As ever, lovely to do it for you, lovely to share it with you. You keeping well? I'm not so bad, thank you. Absolutely. Just must throw this out there because of one of the things I wanted to ask you. Apparently now the government over here in the United Kingdom, if you live here, apparently going to reverse it back that we can now have for pensioners, BBC TV license free. You think, yeah, years too late, really. There's nothing on you want to watch, is there? So the problem is now they're giving you it, you don't want it. It's like that old thing, isn't it, when you go to the supermarket? Want to try this butter? No, I found a cheaper version, so I'll stick with that, thanks. There lies your problem, This is the problem when they realise the government is completely inept, not liked, nobody cares, they don't realise we've moved on. Love to know your thoughts on that as ever in the comments below. Love to know your thoughts on this though. This is truly escalating behind the scenes. And I actually do feel sorry for Catherine, the Princess of Wales, because for me, as you know, I'm a big sort of, I really feel for people going through ill health and stress and, worries and stuff like that. It's not easy, and we all have health problems. Catherine, as we know, very well documented, and I thought she's done a sterling job of giving the balance of where she is to really how she feels. And let's be honest, she's going to have days where she still feels like, and all of this sort of stuff is just piling up, and pressure and anxiety and natural worry for her and her husband, Prince William, the Prince of Wales. And it's all down really to these two, Fergie and Andrew. Now, you may or may not know this, but I'm going to give you some inside info here as well, simply because now Andrew's decided that he would like to now stay on the Windsor estate. And I don't know about you, but I think his excuse is a bit of a feeble one, really, because he wants to be near his daughters and his grandchildren. Well, they don't necessarily live here all the time, and they're certainly not near the Windsor estate. So the feebility of that is incredible, really, when you think. But this is Andrew, and, I've said to you before, I'm very impartial. I tell you what I know. I've met him on a number of occasions. He's a bit marmitey, depending on what version of Andrew you get or whether something's displeased him. But, this is the problem with the spares, isn't it? This is what we tend to find out. I think the only great spare, in my opinion, a good friend, I know, I'd be biased, is of course the Princess Royal, Princess Anne. Just knows what the role is, gets on, shuts up, no embarrassment, support to the king, support to the queen, support to the monarchy. How hard is that to follow for a life of semi-privilege? And, she doesn't have all the extras that Harry and Meghan, or indeed Andrew and Sarah, are demanding. You see, here's the deal. They now want two properties on the Windsor estate. The former home of William and Catherine, Adelaide Cottage, which again, Adelaide Hall, I think it is, sorry, and of course Frogmore Cottage. Now, Frogmore Cottage was the former home of Harry and Meghan, who apparently paid a lot of money to have it renovated and then paid it back. I think we all know that story, right? Nice story, but consequently, And this, of course, was the place that Meghan Markle, she didn't feel secure inside Windsor. No, it had to be inside the castle. That would be the only place that she felt secure. And let's not forget, of course, Oprah Winfrey came along and said, "Can't believe you're living in a place like this." Where does she think she's going to live? What's so wrong with it? Now, Sarah and Andrew would like that and the other property. Now, The reason being is, as I said, that the idea really is that Andrew is still close to the family. Now, there's two things really. Obviously, he knows he has more of an enclosed lifestyle at Windsor. Most of the senior family, I've been told from an excellent source, think it will be more prevalent if Andrew went to somewhere like Sandringham in Norfolk, which is a wonderful place, let me tell you. Norfolk is a wonderful area as well, but also Norfolk, or indeed Balmoral. Now, neither one want to go there. Now, the story is breaking, and this is what I like to share with you, because this is what a lot of people don't know, but I naturally do find these things out. You see, they're basically saying that Fergie's had enough, and she will sort of split from Andrew. And the story also goes that Andrew has promised His Majesty the King that there won't be a tell-all memoir, right? Well, no. And it would be very difficult for Andrew to do the tell-all memoir, simply because, the story, unless he was to come ultra clean and say everything, he can't do that. So the King has his word on that. What's more prevalent really is that Sarah Ferguson hasn't given her word for another autobiography. Remember, she's done a few now, I think. The biggest one was in '96 with a ghostwriter, and she worked with him considerably over other projects. And Sarah herself, you see, doesn't want to commit to that. Now, here's where this is very tricky, because realistically, if you think about it, if you're William and Catherine, you want these two people off the Crown estate, off property. But actually, William can't command that, right? He could if he was the monarch, but he can't in his present position. What he can do is advise the King that this wouldn't look good. There are always going to be pictures of, Andrew horseback riding or Fergie leaving and coming, as you can see in the cars. And also, insiders tell me that the true reason is they're not splitting up at all. They very much need each other, and there's nothing wrong with that. Divorced for 30 years, but seemingly still very much together, very much bonded. And according to that source, the real story is this. You see that Sarah believes that she can still get them out of a black hole through a book, through deals. People will be interested in her. And she's not, of course, damaging the monarchy, because title stripped away, not allowed to use it, but people will always know her as the Duchess of York. William, though, has already thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, right? Because... and this is again where this is the stuff I'm able to find out. You see, William wants a full inventory of exactly Beatrice and Eugenie and the works, what they do, the charities that they're associated with, and again, I have to say allegedly, so that he can work out whether there are any more damaging revelations to come moving forward from that. And you have to remember, and I can understand the reason why he feels like this, Prince William, is that obviously he's looking at this story and thinking, well, you're adults at this point, you are involved in this world, you are pictured with these unsavoury characters like Harvey Weinstein alongside your mother. What was going on? Where are you now? Where has that money come from? And should I be concerned about this in the future? You see, William is ultimately, alongside Catherine, just trying to cement the monarchy. Now, a lot of people could say you could blame the late Queen, but, she was told by Andrew from the Newsnight thing, nothing to worry about, all signed, sealed, we're all here, tickety-boo, moving on. Clearly not the problem. And of course, now the problem is left to His Majesty the King. The King's not very well, has good and bad days, as I've told you. So he's probably trying to do his very best to keep all sides happy. William just does not want to see the faces of Andrew and Fergie, and possibly, I've been told, even the daughters on the Windsor estate. And this is going to prove very difficult for that now infamous Christmas morning walk down, isn't it? Because whoever doesn't turn up, then that, they're not in favour. And the other side of the coin, and this is where it gets really difficult, is William is just trying to look at the future. They'll look at the future for himself, for his son, Prince George, going down what could possibly be. As I say, Sarah Ferguson is giving no cast iron boundaries that she is not going to do a book, because she believes financially that this is where she's at. But many are suggesting, well, why should Sarah Ferguson, who recently sold her own Belgravia home in the very heart of Belgravia for a lot of money, millions in fact, why should she be given somewhere to live on the Crown estate? She's no longer married to Andrew. She's no longer got really any association now to the royal family, other than the fact that she was once married to the Queen's son. But as I said, secretly behind the scenes, they're not departing each other. They're certainly not splitting up. And the idea is at some point to rekindle love, move back together, possibly regroup, rebuild. Sarah is ever the optimist, right? She believes that there's something around the corner. William is being incredibly protective of Catherine and his children. In the middle of all of this is His Majesty the King. And truly, hour by hour, day by day, this whole debacle is seemingly now getting far worse. And the only thing you can do when you watch this is to kind of sit back and wonder who's got the strongest will, because Andrew is refusing to budge. He's not coming out of Royal Lodge until something happens that suits him. As far as he's concerned, it is always refuted this. All the allegations are false against him. His family forcing him to do this just, in his mind, accelerates the fact that, well, consequently, you must believe them too. But of course, they don't have any proof otherwise, again, allegedly. And in the mix of all of this is Catherine, the Princess of Wales, still getting her head round exactly what she went through last year, and consequently trying to plan and wonder exactly how Christmas is going to be with the Windsors. And that's not even mentioning Harry and Meghan. It's a developing story. As ever, chums, when I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of Kensington.